Have you ever had what seemed to be a simple project go south and take longer and cost more than you had planned? Of course, every investor has probably experienced this very early on in their career. As investors, we always wonder why the design process takes so long and why a simple project breaks down when we hand it to a contractor. Hi everyone, I'm Mike Garrett, and in the next few moments, I'm going to show you how design management speeds up the design process and transitions the design concept to the contractor in a simple and clear way and keeps it from breaking down in the construction process. To do this, we're going to discuss what design management is and why it's important, what the essential documents are in a design management plan, and the advantages of having someone on your team who understands design management and is able to execute it effectively. So let's just get started. To understand what design management is, it's really the front end process of project management. If we think of project management as managing the entire process, we can split that into design management and construction management as two kind of subsets of that. So it involves everything that deals with designing and permitting the project. So it's assembling and coordinating the design team, providing clear expectations regarding the desired results for the project for every team member necessary for the project's completion. Regular communication with all parties involved to achieve a successful project, as well as coordinating all the drawings to ensure compliance with the vision and the concept, and code and jurisdictional restrictions. But it also deals with schedule tracking and figuring out how this thing is really going to move through design and get into construction in a smooth and clear way and keep everybody on track. It's understanding how long the permitting jurisdiction needs in order to review the project and get us a permit, and then transition that into the contractor's hands to get the project under construction. Well, it also manages the project quality, what we're doing, as well as how the concept is clearly defined by the architect and the design team, and how that is read and interpreted by the construction team. It also deals with coordinating between the design and the construction teams so that there's a clear handoff, so that there's clear expectations. These coordination and communication efforts need to be executed so that the information that team members need is available to them. Most of the problems that arise in any project are due to poor communication. The real importance in design management is to ensure that the project meets budget and schedule expectations. Obviously, right? So we've got to get the team on the same page. This includes the city, the design team, the construction team, and we can break it into architects, engineers, general contractors, plumbers. Everybody has to be on the same page as far as your project is concerned, and that starts with design management. In order to do this, we need to give the team very clear expectations on what's expected from design, permitting, and construction phases of the project. But ultimately, what we want to do is make a successful project and team experience as a final product. If the team can work together really, really well, then your project benefits from all of that. See, many investors want to get the project to construction as fast as possible without having a clear plan in place. And this is a mistake because as investors, we see that construction is the actual movement of the project. That's where we see physical progress happening with our projects. So without a plan in place, things will fall through the cracks. So let's look at what makes a good design management plan. We need these essential documents. We need a team directory. We need a statement of work. We need the target cost projections for the project. We need a site investigation report. We need a code analysis worksheet. We need a jurisdictional requirements questionnaire and a construction transition checklist. So let's go through the concepts of each of these. A team directory is a very simple spreadsheet that contains the role and contact information for every team member, including plans reviewers and inspectors who are involved with the project. We want to record everybody that we possibly can, your architects, your engineers, everybody that's involved with the project. Even if your architect is managing your engineers, you need to know who those people are. The statement of work is a very simple spreadsheet that outlines everything that will be done on a project, including work that doesn't need a permit and work that the investor will take care of themselves. Ideally, this becomes a great checklist at the end or as we move through the project to make sure that everything is getting done. The target cost projections is a communication tool to get the entire team aligned with the budget expectations of the project. This should be shared with your team. Your design team needs to know your budget expectations in order to keep the design of the project on track with the budget of the project. While there is a real benefit to an architect that understands how to add value to a project and increase our final selling price, a lot of architects and designers dream up things that would be cool but don't really add significant value to the project, while they will add a lot of cost to the project. The site investigation report is a little bit more in depth. This should contain every tangible and intangible aspect of the site. Things like wetlands, easements, utility connection points and sizes, but also things like feuds, emotional connections, and areas of influence. These are absolutely critical for new construction. Listed on the screen, you'll see some general things that need to be on that. We're looking at the inside and the outside of the building. We're trying to get everything about that site that we can possibly get documented so that when we run the numbers and we realize that there's a crack in the foundation or that the driveway needs to be sealed or some other site that maybe there's an easement that we didn't know existed, all of that stuff starts to come to the surface and we can rerun the numbers and get more of an accurate budget expectation. The code analysis worksheet is another simple fill-in-the-blank sheet that covers the building code and the big impacts from the jurisdiction zoning codes. It looks at things like height limits, landscaping requirements, setbacks, fire separations, construction types, and other things that affect what the jurisdiction will allow on the site. The jurisdictional requirements questionnaire contains the types of things that we as investors need to know to help our projects get through permitting faster and with fewer reviews. So we want to make sure that we know things like the permit review times, how long that's going to take, permit fees. If there's a permit submittal checklist, is there a design review board requirement that our project's going to have to go through? Are there any specific street trees or right-of-way requirements that we're going to need to entertain? Make sure that you invite the planning department, the building department, the fire department, and the engineering department to your pre-application meeting. Give them a site plan with some elevations and possible floor plans if you have them. The idea is to give them enough information so that they can sufficiently review it to vet out all of the questions that they're going to have to get all the requirements that you're going to need in order to go through permitting. Another key one is to look at if there's a environmental review criteria that the city may have. Now, the construction transition checklist really should just be a checklist of whether you did certain things between the architect and the contractor in a meeting where you're all together to make sure that everybody is on the same page. So you go through the scope of work, you go through the budget expectations. This checklist is a virtual or actual walkthrough of the entire scope. So you can meet on site, or you could meet at the architect's office or the contractor's office. Make sure that on your checklist is the dates for the contractor Q&A meeting. What you want to do is bring these guys back together in a couple of days to a week so that the contractor has had enough time to go through the drawings and develop a list of requests for information, submittal requirements, or any other things that may come up in the course of the project. Then make sure that you also set up the construction start meeting, which will be the first day that the contractor is actually on site. So we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page and that there's going to be a construction schedule from the contractor prior to the construction start meeting so that you can vet what that construction looks like and ensure that it's meeting your budget and schedule expectations. These documents do not take long to build internally, and once you've got them, then you just adjust them for things that you may have missed on previous projects. It doesn't take you very long to build them and upkeep them, or fill them out for every new project. And some of them, like the site investigation report and the code analysis worksheet, can be filled out by other team members, such as your surveyors and your architects and your engineers. But they really set the project up for success. They check project priorities and concepts against the realities of the code restrictions early in the process to set our expectations for the project on the right course. But they also set up team member accountabilities in such a way that we know who is supposed to do what, and then we can start to plug that into the schedule to know when that should be done. We also start jurisdictional buy-in to our project, but the reality is that they get the whole team of every professional involved in your project on the same page. So now let's talk about some of the benefits of having a design manager on your team. The first benefit is that it gives you more time to find the next deal. By having somebody that's overlooking the design process and understands what architects need, what engineers need, what surveyors need, and what the design team requires in order to move forward with the project, and understands what the investor is looking for in terms of that project, we have somebody who can answer the questions of the design team and hold the design team accountable for the schedules that they provide. But it also smooths out every other project that you're working on. Because as we start to put projects in the hands of a good design management team, the visions for all of these projects become much more clear, and you start to see really as a as an investor, what is important to you in these projects? What is it that sets you apart from other investors that you can actually lean on in your marketing of the project? It coordinates the entire team on the project towards the end goal. This is critical in projects, as I'm sure that everybody knows. When you have a project that moves very, very smoothly, there's usually really good coordination between the design team and the construction team. If we think about this, this is planning and execution. Every project that works in your life, if it's planned well, it's executed well. But the problem happens between where we switch teams. So we've got to coordinate those teams. It gets the jurisdiction to buy in on the project and cooperate with your team. Good design managers understand the needs of the investor and the needs of the jurisdiction and coordinate the project to meet everybody's needs. This is big when it comes to the jurisdiction not only buying in, but supporting your projects as you move forward. An experienced design manager provides detailed schedules and will get multiple project estimates as the project moves forward through the design process. A good design manager wants to make sure that the project is meeting your budget expectations, and so therefore will have a contractor or a construction estimator figure out what the cost of the design project is at various times throughout the design, so that when we move into construction, we know that the project is within the expected budget. This sets up targeted construction milestones and limits scope creep. But a great design manager will even coordinate with the realty team to ensure that the project is in line with market expectations and is hitting the targeted market value. This means that when your project goes onto the market, that the value that you've added to the project is clearly seen and spelled out by the realty team to set your project apart from all the other houses and projects that are out there. So the real question is, how many more deals could you do if your 9-month deals were done in 6 months? Or if your 4-month deals were done in 2.5? See, good design management pays for itself in ways that you don't see up front on the project. But a good design management system will lower your design fees because it gives the architects and the design team the accurate scope. A good design management team will also have a schedule in place, which means that there's less time in design. There's a clear scope, there's a clear schedule. If the design team isn't meeting that, then the design manager starts to ride the design team in order to get that project back on schedule. Because there's somebody outside that's reviewing the documents that understands what the permitting jurisdiction requires, there's fewer permit reviews for projects. The drawings coming out of the design team are also more complete, which allow for more accurate construction estimates from our contractors when we move through bidding. Since they're more complete, this results in fewer change orders because the scope is very clear. It also means that the contractors, since they're not writing change orders, they're doing work, there's less time in the construction process to get that project to market. And since the points of higher design value are clearly tracked throughout the project, and we understand what makes a higher value in the market, then we can generally get a higher price for the final product because we're expressing the value to the market that that project brings with it. So good design managers make good deals into great deals. They have a process that sets projects up for success, and they have a process to keep you informed about every project aspect. They solve problems rather than wait for others to develop solutions. If you want to learn more about design management and how that fits into your project management, then sign up for a free strategy session with Starbuilt Consulting below. I appreciate your time today, and I hope your next project is a success. Thank you.